Tech choice update, you know what that means. Time to watch more things in today's market. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. So we're going to be talking about quite a few interesting things over here that I've just been seeing kind of pop up in terms of talks across the board. And Royal Prison is going to be our first little thing here to think about. Now, this is a very, very old trap card with a very simple line of text. It says, neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. Are you sick of Flamber's Dragon getting that floatability? Are you sick of your opponent just spamming all of these pesky monsters out of the graveyard? Well, it looks like so is the OCG, because we're actually seeing Royal Prison showing back up out here as a floodgate against things. Now, Royal Prison's never really had, I guess, like much of a chance to shine out here because the way that the game is kind of operated, there just really hasn't been a need to bring in a card to deny a huge chunk of graveyard stuff. This also works for, stopping you bells from floating out of the graveyard, though your opponent can just tuck back the fusion materials to make a phantom anyway. So, yeah, I know. It's a little bit rough. But you got to think about the little extra additions of the pressure that you can put on your opponent out here. Just kind of go through the little extra steps to see what you can come up with. But you know what? I like the idea behind this. We'll have to wait and see. The point of this is to go, hey, OCG, tech choice. Pretty cool. Now, you look at the TCG players and go, hey, this card actually does have some sort of future application out here as a looming floodgate. We don't have high rarities of this. You're pretty much just one and done with it. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that, to say the very, very least out here. Yeah, Royal Prison. I'll be the oldest walking, talking floodgate in the room. Now, this evil hero shenanigans. Now, last night we did get a chunk of evil hero stuff. I've heard talk about people wanting to play Neos Fusion in this. Obviously, Adjusta Golds and things like that. This, I mean, if Neos Fusion does work with the deck, and you're able to make the dark guy just off of that, well, maybe there is something to... We return back to splashing Rainbow Neos. You guys remember the era where you play 3 Neos Fusion, the Neos, and then you would play the Ultimate Crystal God, aka Rainbow Neos out here, and you could, make this cute little thing. And I like that idea a lot, actually. I like being able to... And also, Neos Fusion does include a very nice line of text that says, ignoring its summoning conditions, which, interesting. I actually like the whole evil hero stuff in general. I think you've got some cool ideas behind it. I think, I'm not going to say it's not worth picking up because I'm not an evil hero main at all, but I think it's cool to see that, we could be able to put this stuff kind of into the modern era standard for Yu-Gi-Oh! Into the hero deck, and see all of these different hero packages finally getting the chance to interact. Because the new stuff just pseudo-hero locks you. Like, you can still go down all of the different approaches. Even Malicious can find a place out here in this deck for the extra body, so you can continue on doing all of the plays that you can already do with the current hero stuff. That's what I like to see. And plus, more splashability with a couple of extra things. Maybe change up the extra deck a little bit to see what you can come up with. Maybe a Neos Fusion or two. Who knows? There's some really cool things that you can do with that. And I'm really cool about that. Heatwave. So, I'm bringing this up as a thing because the OCG recently, a lot of their Tenpai builds. Now remember, their field spell is limited to 1. We don't know how this is going to shape up for the TCG. I'm assuming not very kindly, to the most part. I do fully expect, probably we'll see Field Spell to 1, maybe Sengen Kaiman to 1 as well. But we have returned back to the Looming Floodgate. We are back on the condition of being like, no, you cannot. We are so sick of, Tenpai player can't do anything, you force them to go first. Well, now they're packing back in the card that we saw them cut because it's just what it is right now. I did see 1 to 2 lists that were main decking the Heatwave, which is crazy to me. But most decks right now, you get that Heatwave to resolve, what are you going to do? T-set? Like, you might have an imperm or two, but like, as long as a Tenpai player sticks that monster on the field, you're dead. Alright, and Heatwaves have really, really chunked down. But here's the interesting thing, though. I have a feeling that Konami would have Heatwave on their reprint list. My only concerns is are we going to see it as another OTS print? Or are they going to dump it into Bonanza as a, huge reprint? Or could it be a reprint in the tins because Trident Dragion is in there? I would not be surprised to see Heatwave finding a place in the tins with Trident Dragion so that, people can actually mess around with this stuff. It's highly possible at this point. But Floodgate, good card. Tenpai returning back to playing it. Not really sure if the TCG version of the deck will adapt towards the same thing, but once again, we're here to report on those tech choices, to watch our secondary side of the market in case there's knee-jerking reactions to this. Phantasme. Those alt arts, very, very cheap, by the way, to the people that have been kind of bouncing around going, is it really worth it? I mean, that's for your decision tree to decide if you really want to dedicate the time to Phantasme. But I feel like we went full circle, by the way. Like, Link Summoning has become watered down, very much so, but then you kind of bounce around out here, and you do see, we're back at a point now that looks like Link Summoning is returned back to relevancy in the meta. So, Phantasme, the thing you care about with the Phantasme is you're getting the body on the field per the protection, for the targeting, and then the fact that, you get to sculpt your hand. A draw 2, tuck back 1, the fact that you get that draw 2, the ability to maybe force an Ash out of your opponent's hand, that's also really, really big, alright? Getting a hand trap out of your opponent's hand before you even pass back into your turn is pretty good, alright? Like, yeah, it sucks that you might be stuck with a Phantasme in your hand, but I don't really care about that. I care that this monster just ate up a slot, which then, forces your opponent to make some pretty subpar decisions in order to kind of try to clean things up. So, there's a lot to kind of think about with that. QCRs, like I said, really cheap, but, you got two camps out here. You got people that don't like the alt art, and then you do have people that are like, I prefer the alt art to some of these prints. That's fine. These videos are all about notifying you about what's going on, and yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with my base for Phantasme, so I don't need to rush out and get QCRs. I do see Phantasme kind of, depending on how our format shifts, Phantasme does seem like it would be a card that would rapidly kind of shift back into things, and definitely inconvenience some people, for sure. And I want to talk about Summon Limit out here. Now, Summon Limit is currently at the no allowed number in the TCG. It's ban arena. There have been a few people out here that have been looking at Summon Limit as a card to possibly return on the next list. And I'm not entirely against that notion, actually. I could see the TCG trying to bring this back as a one-of Floodgate, just to kind of test out the waters and see it. But at the same time, Summon Limit, even at 1, is ridiculously strong. And I think that could cause more of a problem than anything. But since we are deep in ban list season, and we have to look at the speculation of things out here, it could come back. Keep an eye on your QCRs. Who knows? I mean, this is the same thing that happens every single list now. You've got people out here that are like, Masterpiece is coming back. Yeah, we talked about Masterpiece. You could also see Maxi coming back to 1, with the chance of, we've got all this new stuff. Who really knows what we can come up with? Well, I mean, it all comes down to what is going to be best for the game. And I'll be honest with you, anything is truly possible in terms of the Summon Limit thing. I highly doubt it's coming back, but to those of you that do think so, I guess we'll keep an eye on its price point. So stupid, by the way. Skill Drain needs to go to 1. I don't think Summon Limit should be back in the game, but if TCG players are like, we can have all the floodgates at 1, I guess I'll just lose to the random condition effect that you just slapped on me. Feels really good. Well, keep an eye on these things. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons! Thank you!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.